With that down, let's move on to main topic number 4. And the fourth main topic today comes to us from David H., who writes, "Hey, John and crew. I just read a story from MovieWeb that said Kathleen Kennedy said in an interview that the character spin-off movies are done at Lucasfilm. This is disappointing to me because I was hoping for a Kenobi movie or something. I think the move has to do with the hit they took for Solo. What do you think? Do you think they still will make character movies, but maybe for Disney Plus?" All right, thanks a lot for the message there, David. And this has been a story that's actually been floating around for a number of days now. And we've seen a number of headlines running in this, that Kathleen Kennedy says the individual spin-off movies are dead, blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. The question, though, is, did she really actually say that? Now, where all these stories and headlines are coming from stems from one piece that was done, I believe, in Vanity Fair is where this came from. And this is where all this is coming from. Here's the quote that this is all coming from. Okay. This is from Kathleen Kennedy. "I think there is a larger expectation that Disney has," Kennedy said. "On the other hand, though, I think that Disney is very respectful of what this is. And right from the beginning, we talked about the fragility of this form of storytelling because it's something that means so much to fans that you can't turn this into some kind of factory approach." She added, "You can't even do what Marvel does necessarily, where you pick characters and just build new franchise around those characters. This needs to evolve differently." Now, this is what Kathleen Kennedy has said. And all these, this right here is where all these stories are coming from. So what has basically happened here, Rob, is that people have taken something that Kathleen Kennedy said, interpreted what it is she was saying, drew a conclusion of what it is she was saying, and moved forward. Now, I don't necessarily think they're all that far off, because look, when I read those quotes, what I see is that maybe Lucasfilm never wanted to do 1 or 2 movies a year. What I see being implied here is that Disney, the machine that Disney is, with this massive success they've had with 3 or 4 Marvel films a year, that maybe it was Disney that put on a little bit of pressure that says, "Hey, look, we just spent over $4 billion to buy the rights to Star Wars. We're building this Star Wars Galaxy Edge at more money than most countries in the world are worth. We're doing all this. You need to start putting out more movies." That's what I kind of implied from that. And it seems like she was saying, we need to make Star Wars movies event films. Star Wars shouldn't do individual small chapters. We need to make Star Wars movies events films, which is where I see people then drawing these conclusions that what she's directly saying is, we're not going to do these small character spin-off films anymore. I think it should be made very clear. Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm have never said explicitly, we're not going to do these smaller spin-off films anymore. She's never said specifically, oh, all those rumors about a Obi-Wan movie, nah, that's dead. No, that's not it. She's never come out and said that. So let's be very, very clear there. But I can give a little bit of leeway to these sites that are running these headlines because there does seem to be a little bit of an implied message in there. Rob, you've read this now, you've heard this. What's your takeaway from what Kathleen Kennedy has said? And do you think a lot of these sites running these headlines are justified in doing it?
No, I don't think. Look, well, what people don't, all the fan sites, the movie pundit world that we live in, we think business is done one way, and it's really not. I mean, it's based on. First of all, what they can't quantify is they can't understand. They're looking at spreadsheets. Rogue One made over $1 billion. Rogue One was a Star Wars story. It worked. The only other Star Wars story they've made, Solo, which didn't work that well. In their minds, on their spreadsheets, they're thinking that Solo and Rogue One are the same.
Right.
They're the same. They're not making any kind of, well, why didn't Solo work and Rogue One did work? Why? They're not taking into consideration the understanding that if you'd come out of the gate with, say, a Kenobi trilogy and you had Ewan McGregor come back and play Obi-Wan Kenobi, that gives it, in the fans' mind, and my mind too, a legitimacy. Because you've got the same actor, even though it's not Alec Guinness, but we had him in the prequel trilogy, so we know that Ewan McGregor is Obi-Wan Kenobi. For the Star Wars audience, you can get away with having Ewan McGregor play Obi-Wan Kenobi, and people would accept it. From the very beginning with Solo, by saying, well, you can't have a young Harrison Ford in it, but by recasting Han Solo which we just saw in The Force Awakens, there was no possible way you were ever going to get the entire fan base to embrace that movie, no matter how good it is, because it's not Han Solo. You're watching a movie, you've been watching Han Solo for 40 plus years, and now you're asked to watch a movie with Han Solo that isn't Han Solo, no matter how good it is. It doesn't matter. It isn't Han Solo. It's fake Han Solo. Whereas, if you made a Boba Fett movie, you got leeway. No one's going to be like, that's fake Boba Fett. No, they won't, because you can tell that story. You bring back Ewan
Nobody's
McGregor,
saying that's fake Chewbacca right now.
No one's saying that's fake Chewbacca, because Chewbacca looks like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
You know, that he looks just like Chewbacca. People don't say that's not Peter Mayhew. They don't think that, because it's a human face recognition thing. Yeah. And I know it's weird, dude, but I believe that it's true. And when you're going to make a Star Wars story, you've got, like, Rogue One, we had the situation we knew. Like, ooh, how interesting. Where did these tapes come from? Where did the plans for the Death Star come from? You can introduce new characters. Then you throw in Vader and Princess Leia at the end. Spoiler alert. But so people bought it. Rogue One, you buy it. But Solo, as much as I liked Solo, I didn't 100% buy it. I could appreciate what they were doing, but it wasn't really Han Solo.
Like when I came out, I always, when people ask me about Solo, I go, you know what? Good movie, really fun space adventure movie, but I never said really good Star Wars movie. You know, but it is what Ron Howard did, inheriting the mess that he inherited, is stuff of legend. What I think what Ron Howard was able to pull together, never changed his release date, practically remade the whole film, and I think delivered a very entertaining movie. But I always think of it in terms of a really fun space adventure movie. I don't think of it as a Han Solo movie.
You know what would have saved it? You know what would have saved this movie Solo?
Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford, and give him a wraparound. You know, or you show something that old Han Solo, like it would be a prequel to Force Awakens, but something that was going on in the young Han Solo part of the movie played into something that old Han Solo was having to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, and it kind of like, I hate to say it, Godfather 2. You know, we know Vito
That's actually
Corleone.
a good example, yeah.
We see Vito Corleone as Marlon Brando. What do you do? What do you do with Godfather 2? You cast Robert De Niro as young Vito. Of course, Robert De Niro. No one ever said, well, that's not Marlon Brando. No one ever had a problem with Robert De Niro playing young Marlon Brando in Godfather 2. And you've got this wraparound story. And you've got Michael Corleone, you've got Al Pacino, who gives us continuity.
Yeah.
And then people buy it. And I never understood why with Solo they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have said, how do you not have old Harrison Ford?
Well, because I don't think Harrison Ford was going to do it.
But if they had done that, that movie wouldn't have had as many problems as it did, and I bet it would have made a lot more money.
Well, I think, again, I don't think the movie had a ton of problems. I just think you have a problem of getting people interested in the first place, because it's a Harrison Ford less Han Solo movie.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people are checked out of the idea, like you're saying, right off the bat because of that. And if Harrison Ford was in there and it was a future backflash, backflash, I think you would have had a hell of a lot more people on board with that.
You just go give it the Godfather 2 thing and have an interconnected story. And then once you buy Alden Ehrenreich as young Han Solo, then you get to make more movies, and you don't need old Harrison Ford, because he's given the kid the blessing that not just in the real world, but in the fictional world
films
too
as well.
We've seen him.
I'll tell you this too, though, Rob. Reading Kathleen Kennedy's comments, this goes all the way back to my earliest days doing shows about Star Wars. I'm actually okay with the notion of one Star Wars movie per year, maybe even one Star Wars movies every 2 years. I do like the notion of Star Wars always being an event film.
Yep, I agree.
That's the Star Wars universe shouldn't be the MCU. It shouldn't be Avengers, Ant-Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Avengers. It should be Avengers, 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 Avengers. It should be, every Star Wars film should be a major event. And I'm okay with that. I'm also okay if they want to try other things, that's cool, go ahead. But I do kind of like the idea of every single time a Star Wars movie comes out, it's an event. And maybe if they're getting back to that, maybe it's not such a bad thing.
But I mean, I would watch a Kenobi trilogy where
so would
you
I.
have and if it was really well written and it was really, it harked back to we get to learn about the Jedi even after what happened. If it was great and you're able to incorporate, Ewan McGregor would give it the authenticity it needed for the audience to buy off on it. Solo just didn't I liked it. and I actually really liked it. But it didn't. I'm watching a movie where the main character is not the main character.
Yeah. All right, we got to move on here. I got a question for you guys, though, and this will be our question of the day to you. Do you guys think Lucasfilm should kill off any standalone spin-off movie ideas and just go with the big marquee ones? Or do you think, no, they should work in individual chapters as well? Give us those anthology stories as well. I want to know what you guys think. Here's where you answer it. Go over to my Twitter, where you can see my Twitter handle right here, just at John Campea. Going over there, it's the top tweet. Go in there, and the question of the day, the John Campea Show question of the day, should Lucasfilm kill any standalone Star Wars spin-off movies or continue to make them? You guys go in there, cast your vote. We'll check in on that in just a few minutes to see what you guys are saying.